So yeah, we're gonna see some stuff.
Pink princess crown.
That's a teddy bear.
Are you ready for this?
I don't know.
Come on, how many times have we sat and chatted over lunch or drinks or... That's all we're doing. This isn't like it's not a game show. This is gonna be fantastic, man. We are here today with somebody that does a ton of behind the scenes stuff for the ocean cleanup. Not necessarily on, like when you think of the ocean cleanup, you know, we think of engineers, operations people. To me, one of the most important roles of this organization, as any organization, is when you start, you know, digging deep and going way behind the scenes, there's always a brain there that saves everyone's ass. And that is who I'm sitting with today. Stephen Bink, the IT manager here at the Ocean Cleanup, a guy who not only just sits behind a desk here, but you're also in the field. Quick story, I do have a vision in my head that I can picture from a few years ago when we were in Victoria, Canada, and I was getting ready to go offshore. I remember I'm sitting there watching this chick put a big logo on the side of the boat, and I look up, and it was like a movie character walking down the quayside. And here comes Stephen Bink, almost in slow motion, wearing hard hat, safety gear, credentials, just like a badass walking down this quayside. So you get in the field too, don't you?
Yes, I do.
What is exactly your role here?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Bink. I am involved with the Ocean Cleanup for almost 10 years. Started as a volunteer, facilitating IT services, and later on, as the organization grew, I did more of IT work and became the IT coordinator at the time.
10 years. So what was this place like 10 years ago? You've seen a lot of change here.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started, it was in a very small room, smaller than this, in Delft. Only 4 guys. Just a few weeks before, the video of Boyan's TED Talk went viral, and said, "Hey, wow, this is great!" And oh my God, this guy's Dutch. He's from Delft. I studied in Delft. I want to participate in this. And so I wrote an email. I don't know anything about oceans, but I know IT. If you need help, let me know. And a few days later, I got an email, and I went to Delft to help out with Wi-Fi issues and crashing laptop. So that's how it started.
All right, I've got to know, what was your first meeting with Boyan like? What were your first impressions back then? And you can be 100% honest, because he never listens to this podcast. So okay. I always tell people, be 100% honest with what you really thought of this kid.
Well, he was very young. I think he was 19 at the time. But also I knew he was smart, and he was very focused on what he was doing. And yeah, I was glad I could help out. But he also gave me all the time to solve problems. And he's been in my WhatsApp all those years. And whenever he has a IT issue, he WhatsApps me. He doesn't need to call the service desk or anything. So he gets special treatment. But obviously he's a smart guy, so he knows his ways also in computers. But I'm always ready to assist him.
I can picture it already. We know Boyan, so he holds the phone to his mouth and he says, "Steven, my computer's crashed. I can't turn it on. Can you help me?" Right? And then he sends you a WhatsApp voice message.
Voice messages.
Yeah. The kid loves voice messages.
Yeah, but
cool.
It's pretty efficient.
Yeah. So in 10 years, you've not only seen a lot of change, but you, as I mentioned earlier, you get out in the field a lot. You're in the mix of it. You've been in San Francisco, you've been in Victoria, you've been on interceptors, you've been all over the world doing this. What stands out to you as one of your greatest experiences with the ocean cleanup, fixing what you fix out there?
Yeah, so in the beginning, like I said, I wasn't involved with the core business. I just saw myself as a facilitator for IT services. But that changed in the Wilson timeframe, 2018, when the guys were working on satellite communication. So we could remotely monitor the Wilson system and also use the video cameras. There we had some issues, and I stepped in to help out, and we just in time fixed it before it had to ship from Rotterdam to San Francisco. And the launch of Wilson, of course, in San Francisco was epic. I was there during the live stream. I was at the abandoned airport in San Francisco, where the control center was for the live stream. My role that day was to communicate with the headquarters here in Rotterdam, because we had some switching from the live stream back to Rotterdam, and it was really challenging because there's a delay. And but it also was very funny and exciting. It was great to be part of that day. It was one of the highlights. But also, when Wilson broke up, which was not a highlight, of course, but then the broken Wilson was towed to Hawaii. And once it arrived in Hawaii, I was in San Diego decommissioning the IT equipment from the vessels from Maersk. And there was still data inside the Wilson pipe and in the pods with all the equipment in it. So we had data transferred over satellite, but that's less frequent because the bandwidth is low and it's expensive. So the full amount of data was still in Wilson. And I think they wanted to send out somebody non-technical who was going to Hawaii anyway to organize stuff, to also collect the data. And I said, she can never do that. And I'm already in San Diego, so I'm halfway there. So let me go. And so I went there, and that was interesting and challenging to get the data off, because it was all obviously closed and watertight, and this data was equipment inside, so we only could reach it with radiographic data transmission, was very slow. So I spent hours on it to get the data off. But I built some cool process on my laptop. So I had one connection to the system and another 4G connector on my laptop. So it immediately live streamed up to our cloud. So the engineers here in Rotterdam could immediately access the data. So it was kind of cool. But I had to extend my stay for a couple of days because it was such a slow process.
I feel like you're not giving yourself enough credit though, man, because I know, we have a lot of brilliant engineers here, and we're designing things that are incredible, but you've been hands-on with this as well in that aspect of it. I mean, these guys are coming to you all the time, and because what we're doing is so technically driven and involves computers and involves miles and miles and miles of cables and wires and solar and this and that, you get a lot more hands-on with the technology side of this than I think you give yourself credit for, right?
Yeah, much more over the years. Yeah. So in the beginning, it again was just facilitating office IT. We went full in the cloud immediately when we started. So we are a so-called cloud-born organization, which has a lot of benefits. So we don't have any servers in the building. That helps out. But being in the field where we operate, that's much more fun than here in the office, of course. Yeah.
And it carried over from Wilson over to System 002, Jenny as well, because like I said, you were in Victoria when we were going. You're one of the few people I think that got to actually watch these boats take off from the first early trips, because we were in the middle of COVID, and you were on these ships up. I remember up to the last second almost before they took off, trips 1 and 2, at least the ones that I was on. What was some of the technology that you brought onto System 002 that was different from previous trips that we had gone on?
The major difference is I think the skiff. So that's the small drifting vessel with cameras underneath and lamps to monitor the System 2 retention zone. And I'm not fully involved with the operation of that system, but I'm involved with the connectivity. And it makes pictures, and the pictures are sent over to the ship and then put on storage. And of course, we want these pictures also in headquarters. So I developed methods how we could get that best over here as soon as possible, using the existing satellite connection, which again is low bandwidth and has its challenges.
But it's getting better and better, and as we're getting into System 3 on the ocean side. There is some excitement that I see in your eyes, because I know, even right there with that smile, I see that sparkle in your eye when I say the word Starlink.
Yes.
What is Starlink, and tell me, where are we with it, and what are we thinking with System 3?
Yeah, Starlink is a satellite internet service from SpaceX, a company from Elon Musk. And it started only just 2 years ago when they launched their first satellites. They're still in progress of building a constellation of satellites. And these are so-called low Earth orbit satellites. So they are much closer to the Earth comparing to conventional satellite internet services. So that means that you have much potential higher bandwidth, and it's also the latency is much lower. So a bit technical, but a network package gets much faster to its destination than going via the conventional satellite internet. And that opens a lot of opportunities. So we have much more bandwidth, and it's faster, so we can think of potential live streaming from the ocean, which now is, at the moment, it should also be possible, but the quality is not good enough for what you would like on YouTube. Yeah, it's been out for a couple of years for residential customers, and I was looking at this. Hey, this is the perfect solution for us. Not only in the ocean, but also in the areas for our interceptors in rural areas where there's no 4G connection, so we can remotely monitor it, or also do live streams or events. So it really opens a lot of opportunities. So now Starlink Maritime has been announced a couple of months ago. And so, okay, this would be our solution. And that's going to be, hopefully really exciting. But I think we will be one of the first to use it in the middle of the ocean. So Starlink Maritime has been launched a few months ago, and they've been doing tests with cruise ships in the Caribbean, commercial vessels in the Mediterranean. But the Great Pacific Garbage is literally in the middle of nowhere. So we had to wait for the constellation to be ready, because since it's low Earth orbit satellites, it needs to see a ground station to connect to the internet on the ground. But if it's so low, it cannot see a landmass where there's a ground station. So now with the new satellites from Starlink, they have laser interconnectivity. So the signal will relay from one satellite to the other until it sees a ground station with laser. So it's amazing. And the funny side effect is that the laser going through the vacuum of space is faster than signal going through fiber on the ground. So it's even faster than ground internet.
So this is going to open up opportunities on the data and monitoring side as well, to be able to see things in real life. How important is that in terms of seeing it in real time, as opposed to how we do a lot of this now, where we're filming a lot, we're setting up a lot of cameras that are monitoring things and then taking it back and dumping cards? It almost is going to get to a point in some of these upcoming trips to where there will be somebody sitting here in Rotterdam on a monitor, almost as if they're sitting on the deck of the Maersk Trader or the Maersk Tender, right?
Yeah, that's hoping. We're hoping that we can achieve that. Yeah. So we need less crew on the ships, and that the crew can just stay here in Rotterdam and do their work. And also, the amount of data we can get in live instead of in the shipping SD cards of hard drives, and then copying it over here and looking at the data, and we can do all this work, instant.
Even on the environmental side of things, we can have people all over the world. Like, you can have people monitoring what's going into retention zones, or if there's sharks close, or if there's turtles close, and send warnings all in real time from anywhere in the world. So it just opens up so much to this project, I think. And this is all from the brain of one of your heroes, Mr. Elon Musk, right? How did you start your obsession with Tesla and Elon?
I've been following SpaceX for a couple of years, and also Tesla, but the cars were very expensive, so it was not something for me yet, but I kept following it. Then the cars became more affordable, for me at least, And I started more deep diving into Tesla, and then found out the brilliance of Elon Musk and how he does this two major companies which have so much impact on the world and humanity. It's just bizarre, and it becomes a bit addicting to watch interviews from him. And thanks to YouTube, you can find anything about it. And I really like how he thinks and how clever he is, and the solutions he thinks about, and the first principles thinking philosophy that he applies to everything. It's really, really interesting. And you can apply it to your own life and solve solutions that way.
And I'm almost certain that he listens to this podcast.
Let's hope so.
So if you could send him a message now, what would be one of the things, if you were sitting talking to him rather than me, what would you say to Elon to say, I work for the ocean cleanup, we're using your technology, you can, give me some ideas that you've had, because I know they're up there. You and I have talked over lunches before, and your brain is full of ideas, and I love watching this, how you take this and just go with this in the field. But there's got to be more ideas that you can think of that could help both the ocean cleanup and Elon Musk as well. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you ask Elon Musk, or what would you present to him?
Well, I think it would be interesting to let him see our technologies and see if he has some great ideas about it. Obviously, what we're doing now, we're towing it with vessels with crew on it. So it would be a no-brainer if we could do it more autonomous with autonomous vessels. And SpaceX has such a vessel. They land rockets on it. So there might be a match there to see how we can leverage from their knowledge and technologies and apply that to future ocean cleanup operations in the ocean, to have less crew. Because when you have crew on ships, they need to go home, see their family. So every 6 or 7 weeks, there's a stop in operation. And I think, there can be some benefits there to make that more autonomous. But it's also a lot challenging. But that's the cool thing about Elon. He wants the most toughest challenges and try to solve it. Yeah.
I do think that it is interesting when you think about brains like Boyan's, brains like Elon's, and the impact that they're making on this planet when they do come up with these ideas and these concepts. You and I are roughly the same age. We grew up through the 80s. We grew up through the 90s. There wasn't this wave of really, I don't want to call them just innovators, but there was different things that we focused our attention on. It's like we weren't thinking about how we can better the world during this time. There weren't the Gretas and the Boyans and the list goes on and on and on. We were into like bands and movie stars and supermodels, right?
Yep.
And 80s music. When you think of the future and you think of generations, like you have kids, right?
Yes, 2.
And you think when they are your age now, the things that they're going to have, the opportunities that they're going to have, the technology that is going to be at the palm of their hands, both good and bad, but let's focus only on the good, the ocean cleanups and the companies that are going to do good. What do you think is going to be out there? Do you think we're going to solve major issues like global warming? Do you think we're going to solve this plastic problem with technology?
Yes, I think so. So we're now on the brink of a major change again, just like the internet with artificial intelligence. So did you try out the ChatGPT thing yet?
No, not yet, but okay. I've been hearing all about it.
Yeah, it's a real game changer, and this will change the world exponentially. And it's hard for people to grasp because people tend to think linear. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to see an exponential curve that impacts humanity or the cultures. But artificial intelligence will do that. And ChatGPT is just the start of it, but it will be everywhere. Tesla is also designing and developing a humanoid robot. And now people laugh a bit about it, but that will also have a major impact. Mm. And good and also negative, because it will replace jobs, and because it's exponential, It will replace jobs faster than in the industrial age. So you have to adapt quickly. So the future is really exciting, but there will also be new challenges. And that will be really interesting for our children to grow up in. Yeah, but I think artificial intelligence will open up so much knowledge and so much faster that we also achieve difficult issues like climate change, plastic problem will solve much faster. Yeah, I think the ocean plastic cannot be solved 100% because there's also a lot of on the bottom of the ocean. But hey, maybe in 20 years we have robots that can clean up the plastic from the bottom.
Like little Hoover vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
Just running, or what's the little vacuum that runs on its own around the house?
The Roomba.
The Roomba.
Yeah,
We have a couple
exactly.
of those on the bottom
Yeah.
of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch floor. Or
And in
whatever.
the beginning it will be very expensive, but once you have hundreds of thousands of these little Roombas on the ocean floor,
Yeah.
cleaning autonomously.
Yeah, that would be cool. I want to talk a minute about, again, going back to your history here and how you're one of the few people that have been here for almost a decade now, as this organization has evolved and turned into what it is. What was the vibe like back then compared to, you've gone through all of the waves. I mean, we've gone literally over, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary of the ocean cleanup. And when you look around and you see this building now and you see what we're actually doing out in the world now compared to when it was just this spark, this idea back at the beginning. Firsthand, what has it been like watching the evolution of this process from the people to the technology to the mindset that you feel every day around here?
Yeah, in the beginning there were just a bunch of volunteers, but they were also always very committed, and so the vibe was always a nice atmosphere. But yeah, the organization grew. A lot of volunteers came in. Then we got funding. Then we could get people on the payroll. Then we had more stable personnel presence. So that also helps, of course, with developing a culture. But yeah, it's amazing how quickly we have grown, and starting in the small office in the University of Delft, then to a bigger office building in Delft, and then now here in Rotterdam. And we have, 130 people. It's bizarre.
It's amazing. And with every startup, it's always a struggle at the beginning, no matter how positive the idea is or how crazy the idea is or how perfect the idea is. What was the moment, in your opinion, that you knew this was going to stick?
I think when the North Sea project started, the pilot, what was it, 2017? And we got a lot of attention from the Dutch media, but also internationally more attention. Then I said, this is going to stick and I'm going to stay here. I want to see this. Yeah, the North Sea event was funny because I streamed it live on Facebook with my phone. So completely different than the Wilson live stream. So it was really amateuristic. But even then, there were ministers walking around, a lot of attention, and I know funding was happening. So yeah, that was really the moment. Okay, this is really gonna start now.
And when you're at an event now, or like the launch of the Interceptor, or when you're in Victoria and you make eye contact with Boyan, is there a like, wow, or is there a like, what's the feeling like when you see Boyan now, as opposed to this kid in this little room in Delft with this idea, and here he is. Let's be honest, he's now a global figure. He's up there with the names like Elon Musk and you go down the list, and here you are. You have this connection to him for a decade. There's got to be something a bit deeper there when you are fixing his space bar, right?
Yeah, but honestly, we don't talk much about ocean cleanup. We always talk about other tech stuff and Tesla, SpaceX.
Because he loves this stuff too.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
So what kind of conversations, what are the things that excite you when you two are sitting there, you're hooking his computer up on a boat or something? What are you jabbing about?
Yeah, mostly the latest accomplishments of SpaceX and upcoming Starship missions. So it's more non-ocean cleanup stuff, and of course it's cool when I see him on a vessel. And I remember when we had a 2018 Wilson launch. We were partying because the launch was successful. It was the next day, and Elon Musk had quote retweeted a tweet from the ocean cleanup. He said something like, "Hey, this looks cool," with a picture of Wilson being towed out under the Golden Gate Bridge. And yeah, I think that was for me that was a proud moment to be part of an organization that has been seen all over the world and even by guys like Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's talk for a minute about the structure around the building in Rotterdam. We're in the headquarters right now.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about, the place has changed. We have people coming from all over the globe now that are working here. Kids coming right out of college to people that have worked 35 plus years that are doing other things around the building as well. How important is that to an organization like this? I think you can answer this also, being here for as long as you have and seeing the ebb and the flow of the people that come in. We do get a lot of people coming in and out, but we're starting to get a bit more stable, and we have people from all over the world, and they bring ideas, they bring experience from different parts of the world, and just stories from other parts of the world, and you get to interact with them and you get to talk to them. There's got to be a cool feeling about that too, right?
Yeah, but it's also the wonder of the internet that you can work anywhere in the world. You have almost the same experience at home when you work on your computer as here in the office. And again, we chose cloud computing right away, so we had not any limits for people being productive. We have all kinds of nationalities, but also people working abroad. We can assist them. We can collaborate, video calling. It's all no problem. But it's all thanks to the magnificent internet.
We've talked a bit about some of the highlights that you've had in your decade here. Let's talk about the historical moment that happened in early 2020 that probably kept you working a lot busier than most people when COVID first broke out. And I remember there was this email that went around, and it was almost like we have to figure out how to work as an organization like this, but do it from home, not do it in the field to start out with, and have people scattered everywhere still coming up with, still keeping the dream alive, still keeping the progress moving forward. What kind of challenge was that for you back then?
Yeah, it was a challenge indeed, but again, with cloud computing, it was, in hindsight, relatively easy. So we use Microsoft technology. We were on Office 365 platform. Microsoft Teams, which is a collaboration platform where you can video meet with each other and chat. That was a relatively young product. And we were still, before COVID, thinking about moving to that product, moving from Skype for Business. But then COVID happened and said, okay, now we need to go to Teams immediately because it's much more benefits. So that was a migration with, which I could do on my own, which is amazing also. I could do it from home because all cloud-based. I could flip the switch there, but there was a lot of preparation work. And also all the digital meetings that were planned in the calendars of all people were all Skype for Business. So that was a challenge to migrate those recurring meetings to Teams. So that was an all-nighter for me, but it really helped also with the all hands we have every month to do that fully on Teams. It was really interesting and people had nice ideas, and we also did our after all hands social event. We also did it digitally, which also was interesting and had some fun games. Yeah.
So in addition to Starlink on System 3, what else excites you about the future of the ocean cleanup in terms of what you're bringing to the table with both the ocean system as well as interceptors. There's a lot of stuff still happening with interceptors also. What excites you the most?
Yeah, what I would like to see is indeed that we have a mission control center here where we can monitor and have live video feeds from all our operations all over the world. And for that you need good connectivity, and it looks like that Starlink is maybe the sole solution for that. So I hope that after our Starlink maritime solution is in place, that we also can start implementing Starlink in other operations from our rivers division. And yeah, well, you name it. You also want to have live views on potential flash floods in Guatemala.
Yep.
Yeah, we have 1,000 rivers to go, so there, I think there are a lot of opportunities there to bring connectivity, and I think that will be most of my work in the coming years. Yeah.
It is fun to think about. Close your eyes and you picture a decade from now, and you think of everything that's happened the last decade, and not only just with ocean cleanup, but with technology, and then to think about this mission control that we could have here in Rotterdam or on a website to where anybody can log in and see this or watch this happen live and see 50, 100, 300, 1,000 interceptors, numerous ocean systems there, and you're just clicking and watching live what's happening, and it's just nothing but trash coming in, and then you're watching the impact happening live, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that combined with live statistics of what we catch and also what's being recycled. Hopefully we have partners that want to make products of our catch. That would be really interesting.
Yeah. So this is the future, everybody. Well, Steven, thank you, man. This was incredible. This is what we hope for. We want to share all of this stuff with you. Please keep following us, especially over the next months. As we start putting this Starlink system out there with our ocean system, we will be doing more live streams. We will be showing you guys what's happening in some of these rivers that we're covering. So please keep supporting us. Please keep listening. We're on YouTube now. You can see it. And yes, we're still aware that it's just a photograph with a moving waveform, but we still need more comments and more questions. What we want to do is bring some of these questions into this podcast so that we can answer them and really get more interactive. We want to use the technology on this side as well, and we want to bring it to you firsthand, your questions, comments, concerns, anything that's on your mind. But please keep it cool and know that we are doing our best with everything out here. We still have hiccups, even though we're a decade old now. We still do have struggles. What we're doing is not easy. So just bear with us, but we will be there. We're not going anywhere, I can tell you that. I mean, Steven's going to be here in another decade. We'll have another chat.
Absolutely.
And we'll just keep doing this. So thanks again for all the support, and have a great day.
Thank you.